On promise. I've broken more promises than I've kept about keeping in touch with friends who have slipped through my fingers with the pace of my busy life, about keeping my exercise routine, my writing routine, about listening better to others and to myself. As a child, I promised my mother I would never go a day without talking to her, and now I have to set alarm reminders to text her once a week. Years ago, I promised my newborn babies I would never lie to them. But the other night, I told my kids that if they didn't brush their teeth right now, all the ice cream in the world would disappear. I've broken a few I'll never take them backs. I've broken a few I'll love you forevers. I've broken many to God, many more to myself. Sometimes I overhear the flowers in my garden complaining to each other about the weeds I promised to pull out. I can hear my daily meditation practice whispering to me over my shoulder about little betrayals, my neglect. I've broken more promises than I've kept, and that's how I introduce myself to you. Hi, I'm a human. Are you a human too? We exist together in this room of broken promises, but there's nothing wrong with our moral compass. Yes, we've dented it and dropped it, but the needle still points north beneath the cracked glass. Sometimes we accidentally make a commitment when something else breaks. About a year ago, my dryer began to die. Slowly, it began randomly turning off, perhaps because of a broken latch. If I slammed the door really hard, it would work. So I would slam and swear again and again. After months of moldy clothes, I proclaimed it dead. I tied a rope from the tree in my yard to a fence post, then rediscovered the joy of hanging clothes on the line. The way my bed sheets smell of air, the starchy scratch of sun-baked towels, and the strangeness of my wardrobe on display for the neighborhood. The fact that the word billow exists because it's what sheets do in the wind. I'm learning a new way to experience the unpredictability of Midwestern weather, waking up to a thunderclap and running outside to grab clothes, or suddenly remembering the wash on the way to bed and then having to hang clothes in the dark while my love holds up a flashlight like we are committing a crime. I love the drama of laundry and how it demands my presence as I hang each individual item. I did not intend to commit to better energy efficiency. My dryer breaking was an accident of inconvenience, a shifting of cost, the labor of my arms, and the embrace of the sun against the expense of electricity. If I made a promise, but the dryer still worked, I don't know that I would have kept it. I bike more when my car breaks down. I only slow down when my body breaks. Breakages can force us to a better path. We can ask ourselves, should I make a promise or do I need to make an inconvenience? Am I ready to make a promise to never use a dryer again? I'll let you know after an Iowa winter. When we plant a seed and promise care to a sapling, the tree outlives the commitment and us. We make promises in a single human breath, imperceptible on the scale of tree time, of the time of this earth. Trees may be indifferent to our one-sided promises and find us to be small, funny creatures. If we want our promises to be more mutual, more reciprocal, then we must acknowledge that the decisions we make today will unfold beyond our lifetime. The birches I planted for my children will outlive them. Maybe we promise too fast. Promise, from the Latin promittere, meaning to send forward. How quickly do we send our promises forward? What is the cost of sending something express, in dollars, in carbon, in the parts of ourselves we give up when we make a promise? If we reframe our perspective on the promise around the question, am I willing to give up a part of me for this? Would that give us a pause before the commitment? The first step toward a promise is care, and the first step toward care is presence. What does a promise look like? Slow down. Let's stretch out a promise to the time of a tree so that we can count its rings. We begin by acknowledging that all things break down, break apart, and that is how we get soil rich enough for planting seeds. Presence means paying attention, which seems like a small gesture, but it requires a reframing of our life, to narrow the world as we see it to the scale of a dandelion, so that we may know the taste of its milk, the nourishment of its leaves, how it transforms so dramatically, and meditate on that moment when we ceased finding joy in blowing its seeds. Or think about the dandelion on the cover of a bottle of Roundup or glyphosate that was sold with a promise of harmlessness, a promise made too fast. They say, before you plant a garden, watch the light for a year, an invitation to be present before we are ready to care. A promise is a process that is not automatic, but handcrafted and therefore imperfect. Promises made in the home of our hearts bear the weight of time and the expense of their value. What a gift to give your attention to something or someone so fully that you can tell them, I promise.